Today we're basically going to do a second day video of gas efficiency. Basically we're going to be looking to now today is a gas blowback rifle. Whether or not if we can use those mainly in winter conditions. And 9 times out of 10, they wouldn't work. Or do they? Today's episode we're going to be looking to is the Tokyo Marui MWS and finding which magazines and also what type of gas would be best using a stock Tokyo Marui MWS. Hey, what's going on guys? And today, again, what we're talking about is the Tokyo Marui MWS in regards to gas efficiency and what are some things that we can do, again, to continue off with the lesson of how we can make our rifles more gas efficient. So the two things I have right now is going to be talking about is the magazine temperature and also the gas that we have. Currently, again, the shop is going to be around 67 degrees and we're going to be looking to what gas would be best in between and also even the magazine itself. Let's go ahead and hit the books. But before we get into the tests, I want to bring you guys about the standard benchmark of what we have here. Currently, this is my colleague John's actual Tokyo Marui MWS, where surprisingly enough, it is actually stock all the way through. So this is a perfect example of what to expect on what we're looking for in regards to gas efficiency and also seeing if there's any differences between a standard Tokyo Marui magazine or an upgraded type of aftermarket magazine we're looking into the rifle. Now that we already talked about the rifle, let's go into the usual suspects that we've seen is magazine compatibility and also the Jag race gas as our standard benchmark. We're going to be using this to fill up our magazines and as well to that seeing what magazines would work on a stock Tokyo Marui MWS. Of course, we're going to be looking to the standards of looking into what comes with the MWS is your standard MWS Stag-Nag magazine. Now let's see how much shots we can take with a normal magazine from the MWS department. Making sure the chamber's empty. Clear. Let's continue the test. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200. Let's just call it at 200. Oh my God. So first and foremost, that is amazing to see that an MWS magazine was looking around the 200 shots before it was basically having a hard time to struggle or load the next BB and most likely roll off the barrel. So now let's look into the other magazines that we've seen, and sadly with the ones that we know about, this one is the T8 SP Systems magazines, or also known as the EMG Lancer for the CGS gas blowbacks. Now, one issue with these is that I have to inform you, if you have a stock MWS, please do not use these into here, as these will not fit and have issues in between the actual receiver. It took us an hour to remove this off the actual stock MWS. So far, it's a mulligan. Now, surprisingly, we have a special guest in regards of products such as this. This is a Guns Modified magazine, well, which is known for having a lot more enhancement on the recoil and apparently gas efficiency. So let's see what happens if we put this in a stock MWS. Making sure it's empty. Clear. Checking. That's 1. Let's move on. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, maybe 100, but that's pushing it for the magazine to load. Damn, only 100 action. So with the MWS with the guns modified magazine, one thing that we notice is, again, we're looking at least was only half of the shots being around 100 shots in total of the guns modified, where the last 20 rounds that we've seen is maybe 50-50 of actually loading the next chamber. So with the guns modified, it's okay, but again, sounds like to me that stock would always be the best bet. You thought this video was over? Unfortunately not, because we move on to the next rifle to talk about the difference between if there are different parts, such as a different company. Today we have is the EMG CGS system, or also known as the T8 SP systems gas blowback rifles. Now, there has been multiple comments that you saw on here that I'll post up of whether or not if it's the actual Tokyo Marui compatibility wise. Well, surprise enough, we're putting this to the T with the magazine that's in here. The only modification that's been done on this slightly was to make it more TM compatible, was changing out the nozzle into a unicorn for the MWS to actually feed one of these guys. So let's go ahead and continue the test and seeing what it would start off with. Of course, it's going to be coming with is the EMG CGS Lancer type of magazines, and let's see if this one will work just fine with it. Of course, we're going to be using the Jag race gas, so let's see what happens and make sure everything's good to go. Checking chambers cleared. Cleared. First shot. 1. Now on to the test. 10. 20. Wow. So unfortunately with the Jag race gas and for some reason its own magazine, it was only able to shoot 20 rounds. And I could see possibly why, because of the fact that the gasket on top, as I mentioned on the previous video, how that really affects the actual part of changing the gas efficiency. Now that we changed the nozzle to a different type of shape, this will affect your gas efficiency between the gasket and the magazine itself, where you will probably most likely leak out more gas, and which leads to the result of it not being gas efficient. But let's see what happens if we put in a different magazine, such as a guns modified. But before we do that, let's go ahead and talk about the stock Tokyo Marui magazines. Does this fit on the T8 SP system? Well, let's find out. Surprisingly, yes. As to show, it's more TM compatible and anything else. But the issue is, again, is whether or not if it's going to actually go through the gas efficiency. So we'll move on to that soon. Now let's try the guns modified mags and to find out before we actually go back to the stock Tokyo Marui magazine. So far it doesn't want to fit properly in there, so it needs a little tap love to actually seat in. So for starters, it still would work, but let's continue off with the gas efficiency test. Chambers cleared. Start first shot. All right. Let's go. 10, 20, 30, 40. 50, somewhat. Let's see what else we got on here. 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 55. Okay. Which leads to my theory again about changing out the nozzle for different parts, where it becomes more gas efficient depending on the shape itself. And for starters, what we notice is it didn't feed so well on the actual setup of the Lancer magazines, but did a lot better with the guns modified, which will continue on to the next thing is the stock magazine. Now let's go ahead and test out the Tokyo Marui MWS after done the cool down and seeing whether or not if this makes it TM compatible. Again, chamber's cleared. Tokyo Marui magazine going in. First rack, so far so good. Let's see how it shoots. First shot. Not bad. Let's see where it goes from there. 10. 20, and it's having a hard time. 20. So, again, it emphasizes the theory that different types of actual compression itself, which helps out with the gas efficiency, does mean whether or not if it's more compatible, and also the gas efficiency on the gun. Well, so far what we've seen is, ever since we swapped out for the actual unicorn nozzle, it does change out where the gun's modified magazine does help out a lot in its more gas efficiency to at least finish a full magazine before we have to swap out to a different one. Now, one of these rifles should be very familiar to you as what would happen when you have a fully upgraded rifle. As we're looking into is the Guns Modify Mark 18. That's personally myself, is my own personal setup. Now, this is what this has is the Evo trigger, as well as that the Guns Modify bolt system, and also the buffer and spring. So what we're gonna do is to see whether or not what would happen when you take a fully upgraded rifle and basically see what would make it more gas efficient. Starting off with is the Tokyo Marui magazine MWS and seeing what would happen. First things first, let's check the chamber. Chamber's clear. Seat's perfectly fine. Push forward. Let's check the first shot. Good. All right. Now let's see what happens and finding out how efficient this is. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 171, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 180 with some sluggish. Let's see what happens. 81, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 190, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 200, 201, 202, 203, 204, 205, 206, 207, 208, 209, 210, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 23. So 223 shots. Wow. Now that's amazing. Let's move on. But so far, the magazine is ice cold. And again, do not use actual type of EMG magazines on here because it will be very difficult to put in. And again, it's only compatible for the T8 or EMG CGS type of magazines for the receivers. But let's see what happens with the Guns Modify magazine. Now, lastly, let's go ahead and take a look into the Guns Modify magazine and seeing what would cause it to make it more gas efficient. So hopefully with Guns Modify and Guns Modify magazine should just be 2 to 2 together. Or not. First things first, we'll put the magazine in. Check the chamber. Good. First shot. All right. On to business. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, maybe. 165, 170, 171, 175, 180, maybe. So far, with it being really sluggish, I wouldn't count those 5 so far, so I'm gonna say it right now as being the 180 shot. In conclusion of this test is what do we see? Well, surprisingly enough, like we see with the actual rifles for the Tokyo Marui MWS, it basically goes with everything to a certain extent. But remember that each different part will make it work differently and also with different gas efficiency. As again, the temperature in the room inside our office is going to be at 66 degrees. So imagine what happens if it were to be colder, and as well to that, basically what type of gas you're going to use. So with that being said, what are some couple key features that you want to talk about, or mainly the comments of what tips that can help out with the gas blowback community? As well to my MWS community, what do you guys think about this test? Other than that, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube, and if you're looking for any types of products that would help out your MWS, just check it out airsoftmaster.com. But for this episode again, my name's Mike, and I'll see you guys out there.
This video is brought to you by Airsoft Master.